Alrighty then, you already know the vibes. We have from what I believe to be the full spoilers for Black officially, and so it's actually time to get up in there and talk about it. I just want to say right off the bat, thank you for everyone who has come to this channel to support it. We got some cool new stuff going on, got a lot of videos to go on now that we're in like just full-blown spoiler season. And yeah, a couple things just want to say off the bat. If you haven't hit that like button, that subscribe button, think about doing so. We are so close to 1,000 and we are just making steady traction. So any help would be appreciated. And for people that are already subscribed to this channel, just keep watching, because like I said, I love giving back to the subscribers, and I also like trying to help build the community, and we got a lot of content to put out. So with that being said, if you haven't been in the Facebook group, try looking at it. It's in the description along with my Discord. Hopping into the cards, we're gonna put the template up. We got Sin Shinron. He's the leader, and so far it looks like we only have one leader for Black, but honestly, that is okay, I think. I mean, we're getting Black Mass Sand around the same time, or sorry, normal Mass Sand around the same time, so I think that might be kind of just like the leader that sits around it. I mean, we have no shortage of Black leaders. We have Black leaders that aren't even being used now, because two Black leaders that I will not name right now, that I may have stand heavily, one of them at least, are kind of dominating. So we will see. But we got Sin Shinron. He's got blocker. He is a leader with blocker, so that's a little odd, but we're gonna get into it. Auto, when you activate a Shadow Dragon extra card from your hand, you and your opponent place the top card of your decks into the drop areas. That's tight. Auto, choose one Black Shadow Dragon card in your hand and discard it. When this card attacks, draw one card, then switch this card to active mode at the end of the turn. Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, or 7 or more Black Shadow Dragon cards are in your drop area, you may draw one card, switch up to one of your energy to active mode, and flip this card over. Okay, so you can see on his front side, he has no self-awakening, okay? However, you are going to be able to block with him, and so anytime your opponent attacks, it doesn't matter where it's going, you will be able to take one life off of him per turn, so that's pretty cool. On top of that, you can protect some of your lobies that might be turning sideways in the deck in the future, so that's actually pretty cool. And then you can also awaken with 7. He's an untapped draw one leader, so that's always gonna be a little juicy. Now, going into the very next part, we've got Sin Shinron, Resonance of Shadow. He's still got blocker. When you've activated Shadow Dragon extra card from your hand, yep, your opponent places the top card of their deck into the drop area, so it doesn't mill you both now, it mills only them. Auto, when this card attacks, draw one card, and this card gains 5,000 power for the turn. At the end of the turn this card to active mode. So once it's awakened, you no longer have to neg from your hand, which is fine, because that neg is also kind of fueling your ability to awaken. So, you know, task. Yeah. And then activate battle, once per turn, spirit boost 1. Choose up to one Shadow Dragon extra card in your hand and activate its activate battle skill without paying its energy cost. This is huge, okay? When I say this is huge, yeah, like this is, you're gonna see looking at the other cards why this makes sense. Because I haven't read all their effects, but there's a fair amount of extra cards. It looks like there's an extra card for each dragon. Which also, I'm gonna say something right here. We might be in for one more Unison Warrior. I'm gonna call it now. We're in for at least one more Unison Warrior, because I don't think they're gonna leave Sin Shinron without the other dragons, because I think after this you're gonna see we're missing Ice and Nova, and of course there has to be an Omega, you know. So with that being said, I think we're still missing a single set minimum from Unison Warrior, because Spirit Boost is probably gonna have 2 sets, you know. So, we've got Toa, Resonance of Shadow. That's going to be the next card. It's the Unison that goes along with it. Auto, when your leader card activates a blocker skill, place the top card of your deck into your drop area, then add a marker to this card. So this will be a 2-marker game between your turn and your opponent's turn. +1, activate main, draw one card, then choose one card in your hand and up to 3 Shadow Dragon extra cards in your drop area, place them at the bottom of your deck in any order. Cool. -7, if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, choose up to 7 Black Shadow Dragon cards with different character names in your hand and or discard or drop area and play them. This is crazy. And mind you, like I said, this kind of tells me that we're going to get at least one more Unison set, or Unison Warrior set, just because, like, look at that. Like, 7 black shadow. It's essentially the old ult, but we don't even have that many, you know, cards. Like, we do have the cards, but we don't have Ice or Nova, and I feel like we're going to get them in the next set. So we kind of already know where black is going to be getting some support, very much so like the original Sin Shinra. This leader is very, very limited. While it doesn't take specified, your leader has to have blocker, and barely any leaders have blocker. So this is going to be a very, very limited. And then the ult is completely themed, so you're not going to be using this outside of Sin Shinra. Let's just face it. Now, next one, SS4 Bardock Spirit Resonance. And this is actually going to be an interesting card. So one, it has specified black in the cost, which is interesting. Lots of black cards, actually all black unisons, did not have specified black. And why that hurt the cards was because this didn't allow them to be supported by some of the new unison-centric support that requires specified cost. So, that being said, I'm actually very, very glad that this has specified costs and allow it to be used in conjunction with some other cards. Now its effects, once per turn, when you remove a marker from this card using Spirit Boost skill, send up to 1 black battle card from your opponent's drop area, or 1 battle card from your opponent's drop area to their warp. That's cool. +1, draw 1 card. It's actually very nice to see that in black, so we now have a unison that's 15k that can also just draw a card per turn. Then you have activate main -2 until the end of your opponent's next turn. They can't attack with battle cards unless they choose 1 card in their hand and send to the warp each time. While this is an excellent effect, they can definitely be a pinch hitter later in the game where people are kind of dwindling on resources, or the very beginning of the game where people don't have any resources. The mid game, I see this kind of effect not really being that good, because with like things like Trunks and Topo, they drop by 2 cards. So that's a much heavier thing. Like dropping 8 cards, swing 4 times, that's a lot. But this card dropping 4 cards, swing 4 times, that's a price I'm probably willing to pay. That might just feel an overwhelm. So, or not feel an overwhelm because they go to the warp, but it's just kind of a little odd. I don't necessarily agree with that card because I feel like it doesn't do enough defensively with how much advantage we're starting to gain in the hand. Moving on to the next card, we got Hey Shinran, Power of Darkness. Auto, if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, note that it says Shadow Dragon, not Black Shadow Dragon, so you could theoretically use this in Yellow Sin. But if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played from your hand or discarded by a Shadow Dragon skill, you may look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a Black Shadow Dragon card, you may add it to your hand, otherwise place it at the bottom of your deck. Neat. Now, you've got activate main once per turn, black. If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card and you switch this card to rest mode, choose up to 1 black Shadow Dragon card with an energy cost of 3 or less in your hand and play it. So he will cheat out other Shadow Dragons. I believe there's at least 2. I believe there's 2 targets that we're going to see. Next, one of those targets. Hey Shinran, Negative Energy Explosion. Critical and blocker 15k. Yeah, alright, and you're going to be playing him for 1. So you play this guy on turn 1, you know, you can play another energy on turn 2 to put this guy out on turn 2. Kind of strong. If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, and this card is played from your hand and discarded by Shadow Dragon skill, you may look at the top card of your deck. If it's a black Shadow Dragon card, add it to your hand, otherwise place it at the bottom of your deck. Very interesting way of accruing advantage, because while you're doing your other effects, you're going to be just adding top cards of your deck every now and then if RNG permits it. Auto, when this card attacks, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, send to the owner's warp, then switch this card to active mode at the end of the turn. Alright, this is a lot to process because this guy is going to swing with critical as a 15k, okay? He's going to warp, unconditionally warp an opponent's battle card. And then switch this card to active mode at the end of the turn. So he's going to be able to block if you need him to. But just that, just 15k critical they can drop on turn 2 and warp any card off the board minus barrier. That is that's a little sick. It's a little sick. Moving on, Nichiran Shinran, Power of Darkness. If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played, just up to 1 Shadow Dragon extra card in your drop area, add it to your hand. Good recursion. 1 energy. Auto, if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is discarded by a Shadow Dragon skill, you may look at the top card of your deck. Okay, it's the same effect. So all these cards are going to help you move closer to playing Shadow Dragons. We're going to go into the super combo next. Now, I didn't go into this when I was doing the blue breakdown, but this is going to be a new cycle of super combo. There's a Gotenks from blue that has this exact same effect. But super combo, this says Sparking 5, your leader card is black. When this card is using a combo from your hand, draw one card, and this card gains plus 10,000 power for the battle. Auto limit 1, if your leader card is black and you choose one of your black unison cards, when you remove a marker from one of your unison cards using a Spirit Boost skill, you may place this card from your hand under the chosen card. If you do, add a marker to the chosen card, then draw one card. So you can use a Spirit Boost skill, replenish its cost, or half it depending on the Spirit Boost skill, and draw one card to replace using this card in hand. Not sure if it's worth using a super combo for because they're so pivotal in comboing and shotgunning and defending, but this is actually very good utility. Your your boost isn't just going to be used for like your super combos aren't just going to be used just to, you know, combo, and you can have other options, and more options makes better gameplay. Next, Oceana Shinra, negative energy explosion, blocker, counterattack. This deck is already looking annoying to sling through, but none of it has barrier, so I guess that's cool because you can run through a lot of stuff. Counterattack, choose one card in your hand and discard it. Negate the attack and play this card. If you played a card and your opponent, or if you play this card, your opponent can attack for the turn unless they place the top 4 cards of the deck into the drop area each time. This is a floodgate, okay? This is a floodgate. Choose one card in your hand and discard it. Negate the attack and play this card. If you played a card, your opponent cannot attack for the turn unless they... Oh my gosh. This is crazy. Now, we're going to look at this, okay? Permanent. During your opponent's turn, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3, making it a 2-drop. If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played from your hand, yeah, you can do all these things. Now, let's be real here. This card is insane because it's not specified and it's not leader locked. You could do this in any single deck. Now, granted, you're not going to get the auto, but I don't really care about the auto. Like, this is kind of a really, really cool effect. Not a lot of decks are going to want to push for game when they could deck themselves out. When you have 20 cards in hand, or 20 cards left in deck, 5 swings and it's game, and you have to really start thinking about what you're doing. So this is actually a ridiculously valuable card, if I'm not tripping. Oof. Yeah, this is gross. Now, I'm gonna say the writing's kind of on the wall because this card cannot safely be put in a deck when you have decks like Vegeks or Dbro in the format. So, I mean, I'm not trying to make assumptions, but I kind of feel like there's no way to have this card be a card unless you severely plan on just hurting the crap out of Vegeks and Dbro, whether it be hard bans, whether it be like, there's just no way this card exists without those decks not existing. So we're gonna see. But wow. Now you've got Sin Shenron, the Power of Darkness, double strike, auto limit 1 black. If your leader card is a black Shadow Dragon card, when you remove a marker from one of your unison cards using the Spirit Boost skill, play this card from your hand, and your opponent plays the top card of the deck into the drop area. We've already been over this card. It's got the normal Dark Shadow Dragon card. You can do that and just kind of look. So that's pretty cool. 20k double strike coming off for 1 energy. Very cool. But we need to see more Spirit Boost cards because we haven't seen too many in black. Now, we're going to get one right after that. I put my foot in my mouth. Now, Sin Shenron, negative energy explosion. This card already looks fierce because it has 4 freaking keywords. Deflect, double strike, barrier, and blocker. Why? If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played from your hand or discarded by a Shadow Dragon skill, you may look at the top card of your deck. If it's a black Shadow Dragon card, you may add it to your hand, otherwise place it at the bottom of your deck. Cool, normal. Activate main/battle. Once per turn, Spirit Boost 1. Switch this card to active mode, and your opponent places the top card of their deck into the drop area. Choose up to 1 Shadow Dragon extra card in your hand and activate it. Activate battle skill without a main/battle skill without paying its cost. So it doubles down on the leader's effect. So with this card on board, you're going to be able to play 2 extra cards for free per turn, and that's a little thick. It's a little thick. I'm gonna say it. That's a little thick. So negative energy explosion. This card gains Shadow Dragon in all areas. Activate battle, or main/battle, limit 1. You can only activate, 1 skill. So if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and then choose one. Add up to 1 Shadow Dragon extra card amongst them to your hand. Or if you don't have a unison card in play up to 1 Toe of Resonance of Shadow amongst them with a marker on it and shuffle your deck. So you're gonna look at the top 7 and you can either play a Toa from there with with a single marker on it, or you can just take a Shadow Dragon extra card. So this is going to be very, very good. It's going to allow your deck to reach quite far. Next, you're going to get into the other extra cards. So you've got Ultimate Dragon Quake. This card gains Shadow Dragon in all areas. So this is going to be the cool parts because you're going to be able to take these off the top of the deck with these skills, the extra cards and the battle cards. So activate main/battle limit 1. If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards energy cost greater than the current energy, send it to its owner's warp. Then at the end of the turn, play any card sent to the warp with a skill to the owner's battle areas with their skills negated for the turn. If your opponent has 15 or fewer cards left in their deck, place them in their owner's drop area instead. So it's going to mill you, and then it's going to be able to warp your card out, and it gives it back unless your opponent is sitting at 15 cards in deck or less, in which case this is a kill spell. It's kind of wonderful. That's really good. Next, we're going to go into Ultimate Whirlwind Spin. Permanent, this card gains Shadow Dragon in all areas. Yep. Activate main/battle limit 1. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Add up to 1 black Shadow Dragon battle card amongst them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. You may choose 1 black Shadow Dragon card in your hand and discard it. If you do, up to 1 of your leader cards gains 1,000 power per turn. We've already talked about the power of 1,000 power. It changes up the combo thing. Your opponent can't just swing on you with a 15k and hope to tie. And when you have a blocker, that makes even more sense because your opponent has to beat you offensively. So they get you in positions where you have to put more onto it. You have to go up to 20k to stop your opponent's 16k or make your opponent's 16k take damage instead of actually just going evens and seeing what happens. So I like. Now you got Ultimate Dragon or Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. I love this card off the rip. Counterplay: if your opponent's playing a Unison card, you may either remove a marker from it for every 2 cards in their drop area and warp. Nasty. You can't get away by just playing overruns. Or place it in their drop area instead of playing. If they don't, your opponent can only attack 1 more time for the turn. Yeah. Activate main/battle. Your opponent chooses 1 of their battle cards energy costs less than the number of cards in the drop area. Sends it to its owner as a warp. What is this card? What is this card? It is not. Oh my gosh, there's so many things about this. It's not specified. It's not leader locked. Your opponent's playing a Unison card. You can play this card and it either comes in with less. Like, it dies or it dies. It comes in, remove a marker from it for every 2 cards in their drop area and warp. Black cannot play a Unison versus this card. Black can't play Unison ever again. This is disgusting, and it's a side deck card for every single deck, and it's at SR rarity. And maybe a main for lots of decks depending on the format. This card is insane on its own. If they don't, your opponent can only attack more once. Like, this is crazy. We're placing their drop area instead of playing. Jesus. Yeah, and the limit 1, your opponent chooses 1 of your battle cards energy costs less than the number of cards in their drop area and send it to the owner's warp. This card will never be dead. Hats off to Bandai for making this card. This card is on its own is just insane. There's no way that, oh my gosh, the power creep on this card. There's so much value here. I'm gonna be real. Pick up your playset. This is like Supreme Kai of Time. As long as Unisons are in the format, this card is going to be good. Pick up your playset. I cannot stress that enough. Next, Ultimate Dragon Tackle. This card gains Shadow Dragon in all areas. Activate main/battle limit 1. If your opponent has a Unison card in play, your opponent places the top card of their deck into the drop area. Your opponent may choose 1 of their Unison cards and remove 2 markers from it. If they don't, draw 1 card and then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards to send the owner's warp. This is very good. This is actually a very, very, very solid card. Like, this archetype is not fooling. So you've got 1 Sun Goku. Okay. It's just a vanilla. I don't care. Vegeta, vanilla. Again, I don't care. Now we got Kibito Kai, Opening Strike. Auto, when this card is played, draw a card. Cool. Auto, if it's your opponent's turn, when this card is using a combo, if your opponent has 3 or less energy, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with 30,000 power or more and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. I like that it puts it out of reach for your Dark Broly cards, because if it goes to warp, it's not good enough. If it goes to drop, it's definitely not good enough. However, this has an energy requirement, and so once you're over 3, you can draw it dead. I mean, it cantrips, but that's kind of an issue. And if you play it late game to cantrip It can be vulnerable. This card is good, but it's not great. It's just good. Now, this next card, though. Robelu, Meticulous Investigator. Blocker, limit 1. If your opponent has 3 or less energy and you place this card in its owner's drop area from your hand or battle area, when your opponent activates the activate skill on an extra card with an original energy cost of 1 or 2 that doesn't have a keyword skill or special trait from their hand, without paying its energy cost, you may pay the energy cost of that card. Or they may pay the energy cost of that card. If they don't, draw 2 cards and play this card from your drop area in rest mode. Then, yeah, you can activate this at counter timing. So, we're going to talk about this. 1. This is a clear mecha snipe, okay? Basically, your opponent plays United Assemble for 1 energy. They can pay the cost, and if they don't pay the cost, you draw 2 cards. Cool. Now, granted, I'm not going to say this is really a super snipe, because this doesn't stop them from playing United Assemble. This just makes it so that you will draw 2 cards and they will draw 2 cards and then play a card. So that's kind of a lot of, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But outside of that, the cool thing is it plays itself again, so next turn, if it survives, you can use it. But let's be fair, it's a 3,000 attack power card. So if you ever resolve this on me, I'm swinging on it with Leader the first chance I get. But that being said, having a card like this in the meta is interesting, because if they intend to ban mecha, why are they going to make a straight mecha oriented bullet? This doesn't hit Sin because it specifically says the card can't have character traits, and all those cards have character traits. They have Dark Shadow Dragon. So this is kind of an interesting card. I hope they still hit mecha, like ban it, but this is an interesting card to have it. Next, you've got SS4 Son Goku prepping for fusion. He's got Blocker, Xeno Evolve for 1 on top of a Goku Xeno card with the energy cost of 1, so he can be played on the vanilla or he can be played on the OG 1-drops. That's good. When this card is played or the Blocker skill is activated, choose up to or play it to 1 black skill as battle card energy cost of 1 from your drop area or warp in rest mode. This is not good, because now we see that it's meant to be played with the vanillas, and it's not like the vanillas do anything better than any of the 1-drops we just got. So this kind of hurts. Next one, SS4 Vegeta prepping for fusion. Xeno Evolve. Vegeta Xeno with an injury cost of 1. Auto, when this card attacks, choose up to 1 black skillless card from your from a battle card from your deck and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So once again, it can evolve off any of the 1-drops, but it only supports the skillless 1-drops, and that kind of hurts. Next, SS4 Gogeta Thwarting the Dark Empire. This is where things start to get really good. Triple attack, Blocker. Permanent, when this card's in rest mode, it cannot be KO'd by your opponent's skills. Auto, once per turn, when this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and 2 cards from their 2 other battle cards, ignoring barrier, sends them to their owner's warps. At the end of the turn, switch this card to active mode. Activate main 4. Choose 1 Son Goku Xeno card and 1 Vegeta Xeno card in your battle area or in your drop area. Send them to their owner's warps. That's tight. Play this card from your hand. So here's a couple things about this, because this card its power level is insane, but it doesn't have deflect, it doesn't have barrier, and while it can't be KO'd while it's in rest mode, protecting it from things like hazy, protecting it from a couple of things actually, what it can be killed by is warp, and there is a lot of warp in the format. Berserker, if Dark Broly still stays in the format, you can just get rid of this card. The 3-drop Hazy can just swing and get rid of this card. It's actually very gross. Now, the turn this guy drops, if there's no response to him, he will devastate somebody's life. So let's just not forget about that. And then you have the fact that he's a 4-drop, and the 4-drop will definitely hurt him in the terms of longevity, because lots of decks aren't getting to 4 in the format right now. That being said, if this guy gets dropped on you and you do not have a response, that is your cheeks. Like, this guy is going to hurt you. And if you don't have warp in your deck, yeah, I'm sorry guy, good luck. Like, because if you don't have warp in your deck. But the issue here is he's gonna switch to active mode, and he can only not be KO'd when he's in rest mode. So if the first thing you do on your turn is you blow him up, he's gonna be a non-factor, in which case you use 4 energy to just have an opponent blow up your battle card. Doesn't feel good, buddy. So yeah, that is that. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. These are the black cards. I believe these are all of them. We will be following up with a Hirudegarn archetype breakdown, just like the Trunks. Let me know in the comments if you like the Trunks breakdown, and then we'll be coming back with a Xeno Sin profile soon enough. I think starting tomorrow we're going to start seeing yellow cards. That's going to be cool. I'm definitely going to wait to see a little bit more of the cards before I start going over them. However, if you want to join the Discord and talk to me and the homies about them, feel free to. So as I was saying before, if you like the video, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content. Thank you guys for coming. I'll see you next time inside Join Universe X. Peace.